Today on Strip Threads, we tear into a 68 Mustang coupe. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so what we got is a 68 Mustang coupe. Interior's not too bad. The seats are a little worn, door panels there. Headliner looks good. A little dirty, carpet's a little faded, but it looks pretty good. Dash pad I think is in the trunk. I gotta put the glove box back in. Back seat doesn't look terrible. The factory steering wheel is in the trunk, which frankly these 68s were butt ugly. I had a 65 one hanging around that I gave to him. Gonna have to fix the turn signals. I'm sure the brake lights probably don't work because of that. You see the paint job is red with clear coat, which has come off. It's got a replacement fender over there. The car's original color was, I think, a cream beige, or it might have been white. You see, it's got some rot, it's got some damage. Just nice slotted mags, though. Exhaust, if it ran good, the exhaust would sound pretty good. The gas is old, for starters. Who knows how old? It doesn't smell completely rotten, but it definitely doesn't smell fresh. I'm going to drain it out, flush it out, put new... The door is catching on this fender, so I got to fix that. We don't want anybody to be trapped in it if it gets in a wreck. He's got the vent covers are in the back seat. The engine is dirty. You should really see this thing from underneath, especially. I think he put new valve cover gaskets in it because they were dried out. We got a new air cleaner coming. Tune-up shroud. I hate these fans, but I don't know if he's got one coming or not. I need to replace the shock tower braces that go around the back. This is solid steel the guy made the bumper brackets out of, and these are going to kill me. I need to chop them off. Got a new lower valance, new upper valance. All this is going to come off while I'm working on it. As you can see, all the bolts are missing anyway. I need to replace all the speed nuts. You got a hellacious squeak from that one. Yeah, so it's nothing too special, and you can see the cooler lines right there. They're way worse underneath the car. Yeah, master cylinder doesn't look too incredibly old. You got to figure this stuff is at least 19 or 15 years ago. Was all brand new and just sitting in a garage. I don't know where it's been sitting since then, but when I got it, it wouldn't move. I had to put a quart of training fluid in it, and it was enough to get it into here, but it was still going in and out of gear, so it's definitely really low. I need to get it up in the air, and I'll get some video of the bottom half of the car. You can see some of the things I've got to work on here. But yeah, this is what we're working on. Matt bought a tarp shed. That way we're out of the weather. This is in the chicken coop. We had a raccoon come through and kill off all the chickens, so we gave away the last one. She was pretty traumatized. And that's been about a year ago, so this is all just dirt now. There's no more poop. And now, a word on these tarp sheds. I've got a few of them here at the house. This is a Harbor Freight one. I think all of the ones here are from Harbor Freight. And you never know what you're getting until you open the box. But this is the worst one. This one collapsed instantly in the snow last year. Or the year before, I should say. And the other ones all held up. And this is the only one that's built like this. It's got these little clamps that go together, and I think there's so much movement in it, it allowed it to collapse. Now what I decided to do this year is run rope from each one of these across to the other. And to kind of hold everything together, in case the weight of the snow comes down, it's not pushing out and then collapsing it. I'll show you the other ones here. So here you have Christy's parking space, her tarp shed. I actually screwed up on this one, I'll show you here in a minute, but you see the way these are all built? They're all welded, and the tubes sit inside of them. I think it lends a lot more strength to it. Not to mention the way they're going. Now where I screwed up on this, let's see if I can find it. Oh, there we go. These two on the ends, I screwed up. They're backwards. So you see, you have the short end here and the cross, and then the long end here. See, long, cross, short. These two on the end are flipped. Short, cross, long. So that's why you have this kind of bow in it. It works, whatever. Maybe one of these days I'll do something. We're going to pull all these out of here when we sell the place anyway, so I'll show you the other one here. It's a dog. See, same way. Same way. These, I think, have a lot more strength involved. I think they're also a little bit taller too, but yeah, so my advice to you guys, if you're buying a tarp shed, maybe open it up at the store and don't buy that one. Both of the ones that collapsed had gray pipe, gray powder coated pipe like that one. The white ones, I think, are built a lot better. And then the big one with the silver tarp on it is a completely different design, and it's much stouter. But see, they all look the same from the outside. So yeah, we're going to tear into this thing and get started on it. Hello Facebook peeps, this is Strip Threads. I am your host, Michael. And today we are working on a 68 Mustang coupe. This is I'm going to call it the Roachstang. This car belongs to my buddy Matt. He bought it from a guy who was turning it into either a Gambler 500 car or a Mad Max tribute thing. The guy that guy got it from was, I guess, restoring it. Completely rebuilt the engine, rebuilt the transmission. Somebody put new suspension in it. I think the Mad Max guy put the suspension in, but it hasn't really been run since everything was rebuilt. The guy died. The widow wouldn't sell it. Finally sold it. Mad Max guy bought it, started modifying it. He built this huge, heavy front bumper for it. He jacked it up. He lifted it like 5 inches. When Matt got it, he put it back down to stock height, cut that bumper off the front of it, started fixing a few things on it, but then, you know, life happens. He was remodeling his house, changed jobs, decided to sell and move, and that's where we are today. I need to get this car roadworthy enough to drive across the country. So I need to have it pretty roadworthy. And there are quite the handful of things wrong with it. We have no headlights. We do have tail lights. I don't think we have brake lights. Yeah, we do not have brake lights. We have a broken turn signal switch, so we don't have signals. We have no heater fan. The radio turns on. At least it powers up. I don't know if it works. There's no speakers. Not that that's that important, although I myself can't drive across the country with no tune. Temperature gauge doesn't work. The other gauges seem to work. Oh, let's see. I think we need to do something with the cables and the heater controls, because I think one of them's not connected. The wipers work, but one of the link arms somewhere in there has got a lot of play in it, because of the way the arm kind of stops and then jerks back and then stops and then jerks back, and then the other one's fluid. I don't think it may not be anything we need to worry about, but I'll look at it at least. The front suspension was replaced, but I don't think, nothing's been aligned, obviously. Steering wheel's 160 degrees out. It's got this Grant steering wheel on it. Glove box needs to be put back up. I mean, there is a huge handful of things that need to be done. Brakes work. The front brakes appear to have been changed with the suspension. The rear brakes, the right rear was locking up. So all that's going to get replaced. The exhaust is hitting the axle. I guess back when it was jacked up it wasn't a problem. Now it is. But that pipe is 2 inches farther back than the other pipe, and the tailpipe sticks out an extra 2 inches, and the exhaust mount, which has been cut, is 2 inches farther forward. So I'm going to cut the pipe 2 inches out of it, weld it back together. The collector gaskets are leaking. Of course they are. They always leak. Remflex makes some kick-ass gaskets, header gaskets. They're super soft. You put them on there, they crush down, and then you have no issues whatsoever. So we've got a couple of those coming. Matt's got a brand new radiator coming with a shroud. He's got tires coming for it. These tires are old road huggers. I mean, they quit making road huggers like 10 years ago, and those are frankly the best tires I've ever run overall. I don't know what he got ordered. He might have ordered BFGs for it. I don't know. I wasn't real happy with them, but it's not my car. So we need to get this thing on the road reliably, safely. I don't know who's going to be driving it. Once this thing is on the road, we've got about a month to get it done. If there's enough time, I need to get the Celica roadworthy as well. I don't think there's much to do with that, and I definitely don't need to make it pretty. And then I want to drive with them. I want a caravan with them. They're going further out than I am, so when we get to Oklahoma, I just turn off and go to the house, park the Celica, lock it up, hop on a plane, come back home. They'll continue on, but I digress. That's not really what the point of this. We're working on a Mustang. We aren't going to make it pretty, but we're going to make it safe. So we're going to get at it. Let me show you what the outside of this thing looks like. Alrighty, we didn't accomplish a whole hell of a lot today, but we did get it up in the air. I got the plywood underneath it, so the jack stands can sit on something other than mud. Got a light hooked up. We got a workbench set up. I did not get those snipped off. Sorry, Derek. Oh, yeah. Let me show you what we're dealing with underneath this thing. Although this side isn't really the bad side, I'll show you the bad side. Okay. Let's see. Get myself down here. Turn the light here. So we've got rusty torque boxes. That's not really a problem. Leaky collector. We've got horrible cooler lines. You can't really see them. Yeah, you can kind of see them there. There we go. They're just kind of all bent any which way. They're rubbing on the idler arm. They're rubbing on the starter. They're in between the headers and the starter. I don't know how much heat's going into them. So yeah, all that needs to get fixed. Got the kick down over there just dangling. All that needs to be fixed. We're going to cut 2 inches out of that pipe and move the whole thing forward. Crusty. Going to fix the hanger on that side. It's like 2 inch maybe. I need to lube everything up. Looks like somebody's put a floorboard in over there. They might have actually done that side halfway decent. This side not so much. Now, were they using an arc welder? No, they were using wire feed. Huh. Yeah. We need to get these cooler lines fixed. That is the modulator vacuum hose. Just crossed. So like an 8-inch rear end. I don't know what gears are in it. Not that it matters. Yep. So tomorrow we'll jump on it, start pulling parts off of it. Get these wheels off first, and get a load of the rear brakes. These cooler lines got to come off before I go back to work because I'm going to take them with me and find replacements. We will load up on a few more parts. I've already gotten a box full of stuff for those tune-up parts, carb kit, you know, thermostat, belts, hoses, all this stuff. When Matt brings me the mail order parts, the thing should really go back together pretty quick. It's mostly just bolt-on stuff. We're not cutting and welding and doing any of that kind of crap unless we have to. There were a couple of detention rod mounts up front. I'm not real happy with the way they look. We might have to have those welded, but everything else looks alright. So that's going to call it a night on this, and then we will get back after it in the morning. Take care, guys. Okay, back on the Mustang here. Pulling the wheels off of it. I thought this would be an opportune time to show you guys some of the issues with aftermarket wheels, especially these old things. So most of your factory wheels, I guess your higher dollar aftermarket wheels, are hub centric, meaning that this hub hole fits around this hub snugly, and the wheel is centered on that hub, and the lug nuts only hold it on. Most of your aftermarket wheels are like this. As you can see, there's quite the gap here, so the nuts actually center it. What's worse than that, these old mag wheels, they use a nut like this. It goes down inside the wheel. It centers the wheel. Now, back in the good old days when these slotted mags were new, 70s, 80s maybe, you could buy these things at every 7-Eleven, Circle K, Harbor Freight, J.C. Whitney, whatever. You could buy them everywhere. The nuts, the shank on the nuts, maybe this part here, fit into this hole very snugly. Like to the point where when you pulled them out, they pulled out really tight, and you'd have to take a file and just kind of file the edge here because it would peen in. But they would fit very snugly, and the wheel would be kind of centered in there. The problem is the ones you buy nowadays, the cheap ones, expensive ones even, the shank is usually thinner, and so the wheel does this. See, if you look very carefully, if I can hold the camera straight, you can see the wheel moving around on the nuts. This is a problem because you buckle the wheel down and it's not actually straight on the hub. Now, I used to chase this problem with my Courier. I had a set of slotted mags on there. It looked great. Everything was awesome. And then the tires, I couldn't get the tires balanced, so I took it to shop after shop after shop. And I even had one guy go out there and show me, look, our weights are fine. I don't know where your problem is. Maybe the tire itself is bad or something, Put tires on it didn't fix the problem. So finally, one day I was doing something, I was working on it, and I noticed when I spun the wheel, it sat there and kind of did this. I went, oh, what's going on with that? So I got it to the high side, loosened the lug nuts just a little bit, and it dropped. And so I did that. I played with it. I'd snug them up, turn the wheel, until I got it where you couldn't really see it do that. And that was the best I ever had it, but that's the best I could do. Short of having somebody shave the wheel after, they shave the rubber on the tire to make sure it's perfectly round after everything's torqued down. That'd be the only way I'd be able to fix it. And then if I ever pulled the wheel nuts loose again, I'd have to go through the whole process all over again. So having these lug nuts move like that, here, maybe I get a better picture here now. Yeah, I don't know, it's really hard to see, but it moves. You can see the hole moving around the stud. So that means that the wheels aren't on or straight. So there are companies out there, wheel companies, that will take and they'll machine out this wheel and they'll put an insert in there so you can use a standard, 60 degree or whatever acorn. nut in there, and you can torque it down and it'll be alright. You could buy hub-centric rings. They go in here and they take up the space in there. You know, I think you press them into the wheel or you tap them into the wheel, and then you put it on, and then it's centered, and then you put the nuts on after the fact. You could do that. You could do it the way I did it. Hope for the best. You can have the tire shaved, you know, all that stuff. But it's just something you kind of got to deal with. So if you're having a lot of issues with tire balancing and you're using these style of lug nuts, that's probably your problem. And no amount of balancing it is going to fix the problem. So that's just kind of a heads up, something to think about. And we'll go pop off the other side. Got the wheels off, got the drums off. The brakes actually look new, which makes sense. The old man was doing the restoration on this thing 15 years ago. Everything looks like it was new 15 years ago. The thickness, not really a sign of wear. The drums even look new. Not turned, but new. You can see the clean steel amongst the rust. There's no lip. There's no evidence that they were turned outside of a factory turn. Peeling back the boot here, you can see the fluid. So the wheel cylinders are just starting to leak. You say, oh, well, you know, how can they be leaking? They were brand new. They're 15 years old. Stuff dries out. Worse, brake fluid has a bad habit of sucking moisture right out of the environment and rusting things out. This is one of the reasons why, back in the good old days, if you read your let me try to get up here, your owner's manuals and stuff, they would say do your flush your brake fluid every 4 or 5 years. Nobody ever does. If your fluid isn't ginger ale colored, apple juice colored at the best, you know, if it's brown or black, it's bad. It needs to be changed. You can see the front pads are new. Rotors are very much not. They kind of look thin to me. Calipers are very much not. But they're not stuck. At least this one isn't. Hey Luke, go push the brakes, will you? No, just push them. Push them down once and let them up. See how easy they retract. Ooh. Whew.
The brake is the middle one, right?
Yep. Did you push them? You let them up? Okay. And oh, they're stiff.
Ugh.
Hey, give me that big screwdriver up there, will you?
Okay. Inside of the car reeks.
Does it?
Yeah.
What does it smell like?
I don't know.
I can't really smell anything.
Plastic, I don't know, old cars that haven't been cleaned in a
Oh,
long
dude, that's a
time.
beautiful smell. Come on now. Okay. There it goes.
Like old cars that haven't been cleaned in a while.
We'll have to see once we get this thing put back together. There's no mouse poop in here. I don't.
Like it was a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think they're stuck. I just think they're pressure. One of the things too, a lot of people will swap the brakes over. They'll put disc brakes on, but they still run the drum brake master cylinders, which have a residual valve in them. It's supposed to keep pressure on them. You don't want that in a disc brake car, and that could be a big part of the problem. I need to check that out. We may have to replace that.
Why is there like...
And the other thing, because I sprayed oil on it when I was cutting. Cut those damn things off the front bumper. You see this bumper bracket that this guy built. This is solid steel. This is not hollow tubing. This thing is hell for stout. Looks like he bolted it on and then welded it to the body. So getting those off of there is going to be a pain. An absolute pain. You can see the battery box patching.
And there's still a really weird bumper on this thing.
No, that's just the lower valance. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Oh, that's going to have to come off. Okay. So, I don't have the brakes. Those are 1.5-inch brakes. they're down at work. I need to pick them up. There's other things that I can do while we're waiting on that. I'm not going to drive down, 60 miles to go pick up the parts when I can just wait till Friday and get them.
Good point. You can wait till you actually have work.
There's other things I can do. I need to grease stuff. You see all the brand new front end, but they never greased it after they put the stuff in.
That's pretty bad.
This, it's got a grease fitting butt. Oh, it might be the bearing type. A lot of the people will replace these and they just have a bushing in there and they go bad immediately because all the weight of the front end of the car is right here on the spring. The original ones, at least the earlier ones, had a roller bearing in there, and they're always good to find if you can. This one I'm going to bet is either a urethane bushing or it's a roller bearing. I've actually got a pair of those with the bearings in them. But you can see there's no grease on any of those fittings, so they all need to be greased. This tie rod end here has got just a little bit of play in it. You could probably maybe see it.
Which is pretty bad. Is it bad that it's...
Well, it needs to be replaced, but it's not so bad that it's not going to make it across the country. It's not even so bad that the car's going to wander all over the place. It's just going to rattle a little. We may change it, we may not. It just depends on what the alignment shop says.
Do you need a lot of whatever it was that you just said?
Play?
Yes.
You don't want any play.
Off-road vehicle?
You don't want any play. Play is never a good thing. Yeah, you can see these boots are completely... There's no grease in there at all.
It's really dry, actually. It's like you stick your fingers in there.
All of that needs to be done. These covers need to get put on. That's a big strength point. I can actually do that. I don't have the nuts, but yeah, I can do that here pretty soon. Okay, time to go gather parts. Okay, we got the carburetor off and opened up here. Everything looks real good. I think most of the issues were probably with the old gas. It was definitely stale, not quite sour, but working on it. There's a little bit of caca down in there. Yeah, not bad though. I just need to soak it and see what we get. Okay, we got it back together. I got it fired up last night. It actually runs pretty decent. It has a sticking valve according to the vacuum gauge. So we're going to run a bunch of seafoam, some Tecron through it. I'm going to go drive it hard, and hopefully it's the just the old gas that hardened up on the stems. It's kind of like sugar. The varnish gets real sticky, and then you fire the car up, you run it. When you shut it down, it hardens up and it holds the valves open. It's possible it could have bent the valve. Everything right now is kind of pointing towards. It's pointing towards the lifter pumping up, or like the valve spring being weak. So we'll go through the things. I'll run the seafoam through it. I'll run it. If it doesn't clear itself up, pull the valve covers and start messing with that. But right now we're going to pull the radiator and those cooler lines. I have to work tomorrow, so I'll take the cooler lines with me and I'll get new ones. We're also going to do the rear brakes, and we'll be back at you.